So you've been working on exercise 14.5, and just to quickly go through an example, let's take question 6, where you're asked to solve the following equation: 4 multiplied by 2x minus 3 being equal to 36. And the process I'm encouraging you to do is whereby you multiply out the brackets. You distribute the number in front of the brackets by each term inside. So 4 times by 2x, 4 times by minus 3, and that's the left hand side all done. I've multiplied out the bracket, and the right hand side I have 36. So just write that out again. One line underneath the next, and I make sure my equals are in line. So then next I want to get the x's on one side and numbers on the other. So we're just following the same process you would have done with the work in exercise 14.4. This is just, the brackets are just an extra layer to deal with. So here we've got the x on one side, but the numbers aren't all on the other side. We got this minus 12 in the way. So how do we get rid of minus 12? We add 12 to both sides. When we add 12 to both sides, we have a situation where we have 8x only on the left hand side, because that minus 12 and add 12 eliminate each other. And then we have 36 plus 12, which is 48. And then now we have the x on one side, numbers on the other. So now it's just the final line of doing a division. What do we divide by? We divide by the number, the multiplier of x. So the coefficient of x is 8, so that's what we're going to divide by. So when you divide both sides by 8, we end up with x being equal to 6. And that's the solution. So if we want to move on to a few other examples. So looking at question 7. Question 7 is a bit more involved. So we have a bracket to deal with. Okay, we've already done that before. It's not the worst thing in the world. And on the other side, we have several things. Okay, so it's a little bit more difficult than the previous question, because we've got x's on both sides, and we've got numbers on both sides, and even when we multiply this out, we've still got x's and numbers on one side and x's and numbers on the other side. But this question is no different from any of the questions pretty much you had in 14.4. Okay, so you have the skills. If you did 14.4 and were able to do the questions, you're able to do this question here. Okay, so I've got rid of all the brackets. That's the first thing. Okay, done. The next thing is to get rid of sort of things that are in the wrong places. So here we've got x's on both sides. We don't want that. We want x's on just one side. So what do we want to get rid of? We want to get rid of the lesser amount. We want to get rid of the 2x. How do we get rid of 2x? We get rid of 2x by taking away 2x. If we take away 2x from one side, we have to take it away from the other side. So we do that, and we get 4x plus 3 being equal to, now those two x's, they cancel each other out, they eliminate each other, so we're just left with 11 on the right hand side. Now what else do we want to get rid of? We want to get rid of this plus 3. How do we get rid of plus 3? We take away 3. So when we take away 3, we end up with 4x on one side, and we end up with 8 on the other. Now the final step, do the division. We want to get rid of this multiplier, so we divide by 4, and we end up with the answer of being 2. Moving on to question 8. Same thing here. We have some brackets to get rid of. Okay, this time it just happens to be the brackets are on the right hand side. This is still the same process. We're still going to multiply that 2 that's sitting out the front by each of the things inside. So 2 multiplied by 2x and 2 multiplied by 5. The left hand side stays the same. There's nothing we've had to do in this step. So we just write it out again. Yes, I know it's a bit of a waste of ink, you might think, but just write it out again. Each time you're writing an equation, one equation underneath the next, and where you're just slowly but surely, each one, you're not majorly transforming it, you're just chipping away at it to make it to a point where you can find the solution. So again, we've got x's on both sides, numbers on both sides. So what do we want to do? We want to get rid of 4x from both sides, because that's the lesser amount. And so we're left with x plus 5 is equal to 10. And then I want to get rid of the 5. So I take away 5 from both sides, and I'm left with x is equal to 5. So it doesn't matter whether the brackets are on the left-hand side, okay, or whether they're on the right-hand side, okay, of the equals, but you just multiply them out, and then it's as before. Get the letters on one side, the unknowns on one side, and the numbers on the other by a slow process of identifying where the lesser amount of x's are, get rid of them, and then from the other side, get rid of the number. Final step, often there's a divide. Sometimes there isn't. This one here, I was left with just x straight away. Didn't have to do the divide the last line. But it wouldn't be uncommon. To finish off, I want to go through one of the later questions in the exercise. This is the work you're going to be doing today, this week. And just again, it's a little bit more difficult. Just each time we're giving you a question that's a little bit more involved, just building on the skills that you've got. So here we have a situation where we've got 2 brackets. We've got a set of brackets on the left-hand side, and we've got a set of brackets on the right-hand side. But that's fine. We're just working on it step by step. So how do we deal with this? So let's deal with the left-hand side first of all. That 3 is going to multiply by each term inside the brackets. So we're going to multiply it out. So 3 times by 15 and 3 times by minus 2 gives us 15x minus 6. Okay, that's the left-hand side. And the brackets have been dealt with. We've distributed out the brackets. What about the right-hand side? Okay, so the right-hand side has 4 outside a set of brackets. So we multiply that 4 by each term inside the brackets. What are we left with? 4 times by 12x gives 3x gives us 12x, and 4 times by 6 gives me 24. So now I have an equation where I've got unknowns on both sides and also numbers on both sides. That's fine. So how do we get rid of, how do we tidy it up? How do we simplify? We get the x's on one side and the numbers on the other. So where's the lesser amount of x's? It's the 12x here because the 12 is less than 15. So how to get rid of that? I take away 12x. I take away 12x from one side, I take away from the other. And as a result, I'm left with 3x minus 6 is equal to 24. Next step, I want to get rid of this minus 6, so I do that by adding 6. I'm left with 3x is equal to 30. And the final step, do a division, divide by 3. Thirty divided by 3 is 10. So, between the work it is on unknowns on both sides, exercise 14.4, and adding in this extra bit regarding brackets, which you've learned since last term, previous term, you multiply out any brackets. You're then having to identify, okay, if there's x's on both sides, get them onto one side. Numbers on the other. Final step is a division. Okay, so have a look at these, maybe play the video again and just go through the examples. And today's work, Wednesday's work, is just continuing on with exercise 14.5, doing some questions like question 13. Okay, I've done question 13 for you, but you should still do it yourself and then have a look back at this last frame of the video and see whether it's the same or not. Okay. Any questions, just contact me.